If you're looking ahead to retirement, whether it's 5 years away or 30, there's one financial bedrock that's guaranteed, indexed, and lifelong, and that's government pensions.
It really is. We're talking about benefits that over, say, a 25-year retirement can add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in guaranteed income.
It's the critical starting point for any secure plan.
Absolutely. It's the foundational layer. If you get this part right, you take so much pressure off your personal portfolio, especially in, volatile markets.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really give you a complete shortcut to the Canadian government retirement income system. We've broken it down into 3 core pillars.
Okay.
First, old age security, or OAS. Then the Canada and Quebec pension plans, CPP and QPP. And finally, the really critical low-income supports, the guaranteed income supplement and the allowance.
And this dive is so important because these programs, they aren't static. Eligibility, the dollar amounts, they're always evolving, usually through federal budgets.
So you have to stay current.
You do.
Yeah.
The key is to understand the mechanics and know where to look, like using the Canadian Retirement Income Calculator to see how it all applies to you specifically.
Okay, let's unpack all of this, starting with the one that's purely based on residency. Old age security, OAS.
Right.
This is that monthly pension for qualifying Canadians 65 and older. And here's the first thing that always trips people up. You do not need to have ever worked to get it.
That's such a vital distinction. It immediately tells you this isn't about your job history.
Why?
It's a social benefit based on your time as a legal resident in Canada.
So, okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts. What are the specific residency rules to get a full or even a partial pension?
Well, the rules are kind of split. It depends on where you're living when you apply.
Okay.
So if you're living in Canada, you have to be 65 or older, a legal resident, and you need to have lived here for at least 10 years after you turned 18.
Just 10 years, that's the minimum to get something.
That's the minimum, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're living outside Canada, the bar is, well, it's significantly higher.
How?
You still have to be 65 or older, a legal resident the day before you left, but you need to have racked up at least 20 years of residency in Canada after age 18.
20 years. Wow, that's a massive difference between the 2 rules.
It is. It's really designed to make sure that people who retire abroad have maintained a really substantial long-term tie to the Canadian system.
That makes sense. What if you don't meet the full requirement? You still get something, right?
You do. You'll get a partial pension. It's basically proportional to the number of years you did live here after 18.
And what if I've lived in, say, the U.S. or somewhere in Europe? Does any of that time count?
It could, yeah. If you lived in a country that has a Social Security agreement with Canada, those years might help you meet the minimum 10-year residency requirement for OAS.
Okay, so since it's not based on work, where does the money come from?
OAS isn't funded by direct contributions like CPP is. It's funded entirely by the general tax revenues of the Government of Canada.
And that's why it's tied to how long you've lived here.
Precisely. And crucially, the government does protect this benefit against inflation.
Right. That's a huge deal.
It's a major strength. The benefit is adjusted 4 times a year, January, April, July, and October, based on the Consumer Price Index, the CPI.
And it can't go down.
It can never decrease. It'll either go up with inflation or stay the same. It makes it a really powerful, guaranteed, inflation-protected income stream for life.
Okay, here's where the planning gets really strategic. The deferral incentive. Most people just assume they have to start taking it at 65.
And that's one of the biggest, most consequential choices you'll make.
Yeah.
You can actually defer starting your OAS pension for up to 60 months.
So up to age 70.
Up to age 70.
Yeah.
And the reward for doing that is substantial.
What's the rate? What's that guaranteed growth?
It's an increase of 0.6% for every single month you wait. So that works out to a guaranteed 7.2% increase per year. And if you wait the full 5 years, you max out that enhancement to a lifelong boost of 36%.
A guaranteed, inflation-protected 7.2% annual return. You just don't see that anywhere else.
You don't. It's an unparalleled deal, especially if you're still working or have other income between 65 and 70.
Can you give us a quick example in real dollars?
Sure. Let's think about someone, let's call her Helena. She turned 65 in 2021 and decided to wait a year. If she'd started right away, her benefit might have been, say, $618 a month.
Okay.
By waiting just 12 months, her benefit automatically grows by that 7.2%. So her new monthly payment is around $662 plus any inflation adjustments. That's an extra $40 a month forever.
That guaranteed jump is incredibly compelling. But we have to talk about the other side of this, which only applies to higher income retirees. The clawback.
The clawback. Yes, or the OAS recovery tax. This is critical because OAS is taxable income. The government sets these annual income thresholds.
Right.
If your income is below the minimum, you get 100% of your OAS. If you're above a certain maximum threshold, you get 0.
And what's the mechanism in between those 2 points?
That's what you need to remember. Your OAS benefit is reduced by 15 cents for every single dollar of net income you earn over that minimum threshold.
And just to be super clear, this is based on your net income. So that's almost everything, right? RIF withdrawals, investments, even your CPP.
Exactly. Everything except those non-taxable benefits we'll touch on later.
Yeah.
Let's look at Ben's situation in 2022. The clawback threshold that year was around $81,761.
Okay.
Ben had a good year. His net income was $85,000.
So that's about $3,200 over the line.
Correct. So the government applies that 15% rate to that difference, and Ben had to repay about $486 of his OAS when he filed his taxes.
And that can be a nasty surprise, right? A lump sum you suddenly owe?
It can be. But you can opt for the recovery tax option. Instead of getting the full benefit and then paying it back, they just reduce your monthly payments from the start.
Ah, so it smooths out the cash flow.
Exactly. It just avoids that big bill at tax time.
Okay, let's shift gears now. From the residence-based plan to the plan pretty much every worker in Canada contributes to, the Canada Pension Plan and the Quebec Pension Plan.
Right, the contributory side of the coin. This is the big difference. OAS is about where you lived. CPP and QPP are about how you lived, your work history, and what you paid in.
And QPP is just the Quebec equivalent.
It is. Same core function, though there are some subtle differences in how they handle, say, survivor benefits.
So what are the basic requirements to qualify for CPP?
They're actually minimal. You only need to have made one single valid contribution to the plan. That's it.
One contribution.
And you can apply as early as 1 month after you turn 59, though, as we're about to see, that's usually not the best move financially.
So in terms of contributions, how does that work?
It's all based on your pensionable earnings. There's a minimum you have to earn each year before you start contributing. It's about $3,500 in 2022. And then contributions stop once you hit the maximum.
The YMPE, the year's maximum pensionable earnings.
That's the one. Think of it as a salary cap for contributions. The rate is split between you and your employer, or you pay the whole thing if you're self-employed. But the link is direct. The more you put in over more years, the bigger your pension.
It sounds kind of rigid, but I know there are some important protections built in.
Yes, and they are crucial safety nets. The first is the general dropout provision. It lets you exclude a certain number of your lowest earning years from the calculation.
So a few bad years won't tank your whole pension.
Exactly. And the second one is even more important for caregivers.
The child rearing provision.
Yes. This lets caregivers who had low or no earnings because they were home raising young kids. It lets them exclude those specific years from the calculation. It ensures they aren't punished for that time away from the workforce.
Okay, so those provisions protect the baseline. But unlike OAS, CPP amounts are so individualized. It's not just about what you paid in, it's critically about when you start taking it.
This is it. This is the moment you lock in your guaranteed income. The standard age is 65, but you can start as early as 60. But starting early has a significant permanent negative impact.
Let's spell that out. What is the exact cost of starting early?
If you take it before 65, your benefit is reduced by 0.6% per month. That's a 7.2% reduction for every year you start early.
So if you start 5 years early at 60,
You're looking at a permanent, irreversible reduction of 36%.
36%. We have an example for this, right, with Lorene.
Yes, Lorene decides to retire right at 60. Her estimated CPP at age 65 would have been $657.90 a month. By taking it 5 years early, she takes that 36% hit.
So what does she actually get?
Her actual monthly payment becomes $421.06. That's an immediate loss of almost $237 every single month.
It doesn't sound like a ton, but when you stretch it out over a whole retirement.
That's the thing. If Lorene lives for 25 years in retirement, she has sacrificed over $71,000 in total payments. That money's just gone.
Wow, $71,000. That could be a car, years of property taxes, a huge cushion for health costs.
That's the real cost of starting early.
Okay, so if starting early is a 7.2% penalty per year, what's the reward for waiting past 65?
The enhancement for waiting is even more lucrative. Every month you wait past 65 increases your benefit by 0.7%. That's a full 8.4% enhancement per year.
8.4%.
And if you wait the maximum to age 70, you get an incredible 42% permanent increase to your benefit.
This is the real power of deferral. Let's look at Joseph's example. What was his reward?
Joseph decided to wait. He retired at 69, so he deferred for 4 years. His base benefit at 65 would have been $922.44 a month.
Okay.
By waiting those 4 years and getting that 8.4% annual boost, his new monthly benefit jumps to $1,232.38.
That is a huge jump. Over $300 extra every single month, guaranteed.
It is. It's an extra $309.94 a month. Over 25 years of retirement, that one decision means he gets an extra $92,982 in total payments.
So when you look at the 7.2% for OAS deferral and this 8.4% for CPP deferral,
It's arguably the safest, highest real rate of return you can find anywhere in personal finance. It's a government-backed guarantee.
what happens if you start taking CPP but then go back to work part-time?
You start contributing again. If you're between 60 and 65, it's mandatory. After 65, becomes voluntary. But those contributions aren't wasted. They fund something called the post-retirement benefit, or PRB.
The PRB, what's that?
Think of it like a mini supplementary lifelong pension that gets added on top of your main CPP payment. Every year you contribute while receiving CPP, you earn another little slice of lifetime income.
So you can keep topping up your retirement income.
Exactly. And we should quickly mention, CPP is more than just retirement income. It provides a survivor's pension, a child's benefit, disability benefits, and a death benefit. And just like OAS, all of these CPP and QPP benefits are taxable income.
Which brings us perfectly to our final pillar, the safety net, the Guaranteed Income Supplement, or GIS, and the allowance.
This is so critical. And the key feature to remember here is that these benefits are non-taxable.
Ah, that's the big difference.
It is. They're designed to boost the income of those who need it most without creating a new tax problem for them.
So tell us about GIS. How does it work with OAS?
GIS starts at 65. You have to be living in Canada and meet an annual income test. It's funded by general government revenue, so no contributions. And the amount you get depends on your marital status and your income.
And if you're married, they look at your combined income.
They do. And since OAS is taxable income, a higher OAS payment could potentially reduce the amount of non-taxable GIS you receive. So there's a bit of a balancing act there for people on the lower end of the income scale.
And the allowance, what's that for?
The allowance is designed to bridge the gap for low-income couples, for those aged 60 to 64. So for people in that age range whose spouse is already over 65 and receiving OAS and GIS.
I see. So it helps the younger spouse before they qualify for OAS themselves.
That's the idea. And there's also an allowance for the survivor, for low-income widowed individuals in that same 60 to 64 age bracket. The goal is simple: ensure a minimum level of income security for the most vulnerable seniors.
So to pull this all together for everyone listening, we have these three distinct systems. OAS is residence-based and income-tested with that clawback.
Right.
CPP and QPP are contribution-based and highly variable, depending on when you start.
Hugely variable.
And then GIS and the allowance are that non-taxable safety net for security.
That is the complete picture.
Okay.
But if there was one key takeaway from all of this, it's the massive, irreversible financial impact of your commencement decision.
This is the real so what moment for your own retirement plan.
Just look at those rates one more time. You get a guaranteed 7.2% annual bump for deferring OAS and a powerful 8.4% annual enhancement for deferring CPP.
They're government-backed, inflation-protected increases.
They're the single greatest tool you have to maximize your financial security later in life.
We saw Lorene sacrifice over $71,000 by starting early, while Joseph gained over $92,000 just by waiting 4 years. The numbers are just staggering.
The decision of when to start collecting locks in your primary, guaranteed income for the rest of your life, and the choice between that permanent reduction versus a substantial lifelong boost. It forces you to think beyond just needing the cash right now.
Yeah.
It makes you confront the challenge of predicting your own longevity.
So the final thought for you to take away is this. What factors beyond your current income, things like future health costs, what you want to leave behind, or just the deep desire for security in your 80s and 90s, what factors must you consider when choosing the start date that will literally define your income for the rest of your life?